We'll hear first from Dylan Bowker with My MMA News.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time to answer my call, guys. My first question was for Valentina. I'm kind of curious because it seems like a lot of the questions you've been getting as of late seem to relate to Weili Zhang and Amanda Nunes. Do you feel like the general public is somewhat overlooking what you're doing at flyweight?
Can you repeat, please, the last part? I didn't hear you well.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just wondering if you think the general public is maybe overlooking what you're doing at flyweight and is thinking of super fights outside of that.
Oh, no. I think that they're just, curious to and want to know about everything what's going on. Of course, I think they understand that flyweight is very hard, competitive division, and of course they understand it. But of course, everyone wants to see a little bit more over it, and I think it's normal that people have interest in all of the things in one time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of wondering, in terms of the styles Katlyn brings to the table, what does she bring to the table that's different from previous opponents?
What she will bring different from previous opponents, I think being Katlyn, she's already different than other one, because I don't believe that any fighter can be the similar that you fought already. Even same fighter, when you fight them twice, it's totally can be two different fights. And of course, it's she has her style, and be prepared for her style. And that's it. I think I hope it's gonna be a good fight. He will put everything on the ground inside the octagon. And of course, I'm ready for her. And I don't believe in easy fights. I believe in train hard to make the fight easy.
Awesome. I appreciate you answering that. My next question is for Katlyn. I'm kind of wondering, because I've seen in past interviews you've indicated you won't necessarily deviate from your style just to, please fans and possibly get caught. But in the last title fight at flyweight, we saw Liz Carmouche fight in a certain style that maybe the UFC didn't think was as aesthetically pleasing, and was sort of, promptly cut for that whole thing. Does that put any outside pressure on your fight style or how you approach anything at all?
No, I mean, my style is my style, and I've trained martial arts my whole life, and, the way you adapt and how you become a fighter, sometimes you can help some of those things and try to grow and do better. But, this is my style. And if, I'm going to fight, it's me in there fighting, not anyone else. So it's easy for people on the outside to say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. But, they're not in there doing it and facing the opponents that you're facing. That's just my style. And I'm confident myself as a fighter and a martial artist, and I'm happy with how I perform. And, if that were to ever be an issue, then that's just the fate and how things are supposed to be.
No, I mean, you certainly have an enjoyable style, so glad that, pressure isn't coming to the forefront at all. But also to that point, I'm curious on a skill set level what you bring to the table that's maybe different from prior opponents Valentina has had.
I mean, just the same as Valentina explained, every fighter is completely different. I don't think I faced two fighters that were, super similar. I'm just a high volume striker. I think especially at flyweight, I'm probably one of the higher volume strikers. I move, I can do everything. I'm not just one-sided. I've been training martial arts for my whole life. So, a lot of times I think that I have that advantage over some girls. Some girls have only been training for a few years, and I've been doing it my whole life. So I've seen kind of everything. I've trained with so many people and seen, I like when I get to train and not know what the person I'm sparring or what to expect. And it's the same thing in the fight. You don't ever really know what to expect to there. So you just try to be prepared for everything.
Awesome. Thanks for taking my questions, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We'll hear next from Nolan King with MMA Junkie.
Hey, I'd like to thank both fighters for joining us today. Really appreciate the time. My first question is for the champion. Valentina, you just had a question about the super fights. I know it's something that you've talked about quite a bit. If you go out there, you do get the win on Saturday. Do you feel like there are still challenges that you could face at this weight class? I know everybody's talking about those super fights, but beyond that, do you feel like that 125 still has its fair share of challenges for you?
First of all, I'm focused on my fight this Saturday, and I'm not thinking about any further fight because I put everything what I have inside me for this Saturday, for this fight. Second, it's super fight against who? Like, I don't know, Amanda Nunes, Rayleigh, Henry Cejudo, against who? So I don't think that this is the right moment to think about it right now.
Sure thing. In your last fight, it went the distance. It was kind of a grindy, grueling 5-round fight. The one before it was a head kick knockout in the second round. What kind of fight do you think you'll expect out of Katlyn? What kind of performance should we expect out of you for this fight?
I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think Katlyn will put everything inside inside the octagon in the fight, and of course I'm ready for anything. You know how I said, you have to train harder than anyone. And being in the position what I am right now, it's make me feel, it's make me think, not that, okay, you are here, you can now enjoy a little bit, you can rest a little bit. No, it's pushing me every time to train harder than anyone. And having coach as I have, Pavel, it's like every single training, it's like a mini competition because he's pushing me to the limit every time. So I'm ready for anything, for any style. Doesn't matter what plans my opponent gonna have. It doesn't matter for me. I have a response for anything.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. And for Katlyn, I'm sure this is in some senses just another fight for you, but a lot of people are, and maybe you agree, see this as the biggest fight of your career. In preparation, has there been anything different in your mindset, or is this just another fight against a tough opponent?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just another fight. I try not to, yes, of course, it's the title, and that's what we're all here for, and everyone wants that, and that's what you dream about. But it's just another fight. You can't put these big fights on a bigger pedestal. For me, I think your next fight is always a bigger fight. So I'm used to this. Every fight seems like the biggest fight. People ask all the time, what have you done differently to fight for the title? I was like, well, I mean, I didn't really do anything different. I mean, I prepare obviously specifically for Valentina as if I would for any other fighter, but I'm confident in the way that I've trained for the past years and the professionalism that I've learned, and my coaches, we kind of, of course, each time you make a little adjustments to just try to get better and improve. But, for the most part, whether I was fighting Valentina or someone for their first fight, I'm preparing the same way. I prepare as hard as I can. I train as hard as I can. And, I take every fight seriously. And yes, this is for the title fight, but my mentality is the same for every fight. Train as hard as you can so you can be as prepared as you can for the day of the fight.
Appreciate the time. Thank you, guys.
Again, for questions, that is star one at this time. We'll hear next from Jeffrey Harris with 411 Mania MMA.
Good afternoon. Thank you to the fighters for joining us. I really appreciate it, and thanks for bringing this fight to my hometown of Houston, Texas. First question for Katlyn. Do you think much at all about what this means to you on a personal level to be able to fight a fighter like Valentina Shevchenko for the UFC title?
Yeah, I mean, when I started MMA, even when I was a kid and I did karate, I wanted to be the best person in the class. And then I went to my first tournament. I wanted to be the best person at the tournament. Then I did Golden Gloves. So it's like whatever level that I was training at or the highest level I could see, I always wanted to be the best. And when I started MMA, I didn't even know there was going to be women's in UFC, but I just knew I wanted to be the best. Then I saw UFC starting adding women's division. I'm like, I want to do that. That's the best. So, yes, I think that everyone puts Valentina on a very high pedestal and think that she's an amazing fighter. And, you hear a lot of people even talk about her being not just great for a female fighter, but great for a male and female fighter. And to be able to have her as the champion so I could win that is even more amazing. You don't want the easy fights. You want the hard fights to prove what you can do. So, I'm excited about this fight. I'm excited, that Valentina's the champ and that the challenge is there. And, the harder the challenge, the more motivation it is during training and the more exciting it is.
And Katlyn, have you thought about what it means to you personally if you win the UFC title at UFC 247?
Personally, it's just, this has been a lifelong goal of mine to be the best in the world. So, I'm about 5 days away from being able to reach that goal. And, it's not just the hard training that I put in for this specific fight camp. This is the hard training that I put in my whole life, training martial arts. And, when I was a kid going to karate class and kids didn't think karate was cool, but I thought it was and I liked it. And now I'm like, okay, all that hard work and not listening to other people, it's paying off because, I'm reaching my goals. So, yeah, to win on Saturday would mean a lot to me.
For Valentina, I'm curious, do you ever think of preparing for fights? Are they ever like a puzzle, like a specific, unique challenge for you to solve?
It's hard to say, because I started training martial arts when I was 5 years old. And actually, I don't have, for a long time that I'm not training. Every time in a shape, every time training. Doesn't matter where I am, travel, do it, anything, every time I'm in training. And be able, I would say that in my life, be able to travel, to train with different, in different gyms, with different opponents, with different sparring partners. It's like bringing me every time something new, something unexpected, something interesting to learn. And I would say I never stop to learn. And of course, if we are preparing for specific opponent, specific person, it's you have to adjust to see the all dangerous situations that you can have during the fight, but also to make to sharpen your your biggest advantage in front of your opponent. So it's definitely, but it all depends of each single situation.
And last question for both women, since the fight is in Texas, provided you're not vegetarians, will either of you consider trying some Texas barbecue after the fight? Thank you.
Why after the fight? Actually, right now I'm in Tex-Mex restaurant and trying to have some fajitas. So after our conversation, I will have some beef fajitas. Yesterday we had some steak, so it's not a problem for me. I can do it before the fight as well.
And our next question will be from Shaquille Majori with MMA Mania.
Thank you. First, for Valentina, you spoke last year about how you don't really want to set any goals for yourself in terms of records and such, because that's what breaks a lot of champions. And so I was wondering, when this chapter of your life is closed, how do you want fans to remember you? What do you want your legacy as a fighter to be?
I would correct you a little bit. I never say, I don't want to put a goal or something like this. It's not that meaning that I wanted to put in these words. I just meant when a person describing their goals, I want to be the best, I want to be this, I want to be this. This is a simple thing. It's everyone do, but very few of them can reach them. When you keep these goals inside of you, and it's like, it's accumulating all energy inside of you. So before you get and receive your goal, before you get it and did it, so you cannot like just express out loud for everyone, oh, this is my goal, whatever, because I can see so many times people, they are speaking too much, but when it's time to make action, they are doing wrong. They are doing wrong. Why? Because they was thinking about speak first and then do. In my what my mindset is, do first, speak later, and this is, I think, the most important. I don't know how I want that people want to remember me, because it's not about this. It's about what you can bring right now. And right now, I'm trying to bring myself to the sport and to show my love to martial arts, to show my lifestyle that you can travel, you can train, you can do everything, and in the same time enjoy the life. And even like when you are in hard training camp, you can go and explore some like new places, new cities, meet new people. So I just try to show my personality. I don't know how I want that people remember me. I don't know, because I live my life right now.
Wonderful. And then what I find very interesting about this pay-per-view in particular is it's sort of rare to get two very dominant champions defending their title on the same card. John Jones has cleared out most of the division. I think there's a significant chunk of fans who sort of expect you to do the same. I was wondering if there's any comparisons you can draw from you between you and John Jones in your careers.
Never thought about this. I never was comparing me and John Jones. I very love his style. I admire him as a professional athlete, and his style of fighting, I think it's one of the best ones. It's very universal and very interesting to watch his fight. But I don't know. I never was thinking about it to compare someone with someone.
Thank you. And one for Katlyn. You mentioned to the score how, people always look out for Shevchenko's head kick, and you pointed out how you actually head kicked Carmouche and knocked her down. And I was wondering, what are some areas where you think you performed better than Valentina against Liz Carmouche and against Jessica Ai?
I mean, it's hard to say because, me and all those girls, including Valentina, all have different styles. So when you match it up together, you're not going to expect the same thing, like MMA. Everyone says like MMA math doesn't make sense. And we all know that. We see it time and again. There's too many variables. Maybe if it was boxing and it was only punches, you could compare each other a little bit more. But with MMA, I mean, there's endless possibilities of styles for each and every person. I mean, which I was like a baby then. I mean, it was only my second UFC fight. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, and I've definitely gotten a lot more experience since then. Like I said, I just think it's hard to compare. It's, I can't say oh, I did this to this person and she did it, or just you can't say she did this to this person and I didn't. It just doesn't make sense in MMA. So it's too hard to make those comparisons. Like I said, if it was specific sport, maybe if it was just Muay Thai, just boxing, or just wrestling, it's a little bit easier to make those comparisons and see how each person does against similar opponents. But for MMA, it's too hard. You never know. And that's what's so exciting about this sport is everyone has their own style, and the styles that match up together. You could have two fighters fight each other 10 times and get a different result every 10 times. It's just kind of the exciting part about mixed martial arts.
For sure. Thank you both very much, and best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll hear next from Kendrick Johnson with Ring TV. Kendrick, your line is open. You may have us on mute.
You hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can.
You're good.
Well, my first question is for Valentina. How big a deal is it not to just get your hand raised, but to win spectacularly the way that you did Jessica, or is it just without winning?
Oh, I cannot hear you. Your voice is very low.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
A little bit better. Yeah, can you repeat, please?
How big a deal is it to not just get your hand raised, but to not just get your hand raised, but to win spectacularly like you did against Jessica, versus how you did beat Liz? So it doesn't matter as long as you win.
The victory by itself, it makes you feel the same way. Of course, it's different. Every time it's different. Of course, it's like how you end the fight. It's a little bit kind of different feelings, of course. But by the end of the day, being the champion, still the champion, and stay the champion, this is what matters.
And give some insight to your mindset. It seems like you're very comfortable in these big stages where a lot of people are folded. It seems like you're at your best. What makes you so good on the big stages that we see the best Valentina every time you come out, even though the pressure gets bigger and bigger each fight?
I just was ready for it since the beginning. I came to UFC. My first fight I had in 2015. Yes, it was 2015, first fight in UFC, and I already was 17-time world champion, Muay Thai, kickboxing, and MMA. So I was prepared for this. I'm not the person who just started it and suddenly received all these like things on the top, and the person doesn't know how to deal with this. No, I was prepared exactly for this, mentally and physically, since my childhood.
Gotcha. And my last question is for Katlyn. Do you think you're going to have to take some more chances to do something that nobody else has done? Or are you good with just making a technical fight and see where the chips may fall?
I mean, I think what I have to do is win, and those are. I'm willing to take chances to win, and that's what I like to think myself as a very technical fighter, not I don't go crazy and just be like, you hear some guys are like, I'm going to war, and they're just so crazy, but that's not my style, and I'm not going to do that just to try to win. I try to win strategically, and that's pretty much my whole game plan. I don't know if that answers your question. I was a little confused.
Basically, you think you have to do something different that you're used to doing and take more risks than you usually do, since you have kind of a conservative style.
I mean,
is used to dictating the terms of the fight.
I think that maybe taking risks to get more finishers. I don't know if that's your time, but I think I take pretty good risks. I only have 2 losses I've never been finished. I have 2 losses on my record, and they're split decisions. Could kind of go either way. So I think that, the style that I've been fighting has put me in a position where I'm ranked number 1 and I'm fighting for the world title. So, I just have to stay focused in everything that I've worked on for this camp and everything that I've done before. I just have to be very focused for all 25 minutes if it goes that way for the fight, and try to do what we've been working on, and hopefully come out with my hand raised.
All right, good luck, ladies. See you on Fight Week.
Thank you.